Welcome to our fundraising event for 2021. I'm Bert Adama. I'm the Executive Director of Indigenous Christian Fellowship. I've been with the ministry for a few years, since 1993, and it's really great to be together again, albeit virtually, for a gala. And it's my pleasure to co-host this with Dawn Rosenthal immediately to my left. Welcome, Dawn.
Thank you, Bert. Good evening. My name is Dawn Rosenthal, and I'm excited and happy to be here tonight. I'm a proud member of the Cowessess First Nation, and I've been honored to be a council member with ICF for the past 2 years. I call Regina home, and I'm pleased to work here, play here, and do some volunteer around the city.
Good stuff. We are an Indigenous ministry, and we are here in Regina. So we'd like to have a treaty land acknowledgement. This land acknowledgement was approved by the Council of the Ministry back in 2019. So we acknowledge that we are gathered in Treaty 4 territory. We acknowledge that the Creator gave stewardship of these lands to the Anishinaabe, the Saulteaux, the Niihau, the Cree, and the Oyate, the Coda, Lakota, and Nakota peoples. We acknowledge that these lands became the traditional homeland of the Métis people through the relationships of Indigenous and European peoples. Acknowledging that treaty relationships have been broken, we commit ourselves to building healthy relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. We hope that our shared stewardship of these lands will honor our ancestors, bless each creature present today, and build a healthy future for all of our descendants and bring praise to the Creator. Make which. Dawn, can you introduce our elder?
Sure. So we're honored tonight to have one of our respected elders opening our gala with a prayer. Her name is May Denemy. She is a member of Pipikasis First Nation. She's a residential school survivor, a teacher, and a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. May has served as council member with ICF in the past, and she remains as an honorary council member. May serves as an elder in the school system in Regina. May will now offer a prayer to start our gala in a good way.
Good evening, Kakio. Kitatamskat nawao. I appreciate this opportunity to say the blessing for this 2021 Virtual Gala. Ninanaskumun, I am grateful. If you would bow your heads and join me in saying this blessing, it would be appreciated. Heavenly Father, Notawinan, I thank you for this wonderful day and evening you have given me, for the life you have given all of us, and for the children that you have graciously loaned to me. Also for my family, those that are with us presently, and those who have gone on to the spirit world. Thank you also for all of creation, the universe, the earth and lands, the wind, the fire, and the water. Also for all the animals and the plants. All this creation sustains us humans, and we thank you, Kisemantu, Great Spirit, for your blessings. Bless this 2021 gala, virtual gala, and all the amazing people associated with the Indigenous Christian Fellowship, from the staff to the board and to the community that it serves. You, Lord, has shown us your love, and your kindness, through all these people. Continue to bless ICF and the work that they do in service to the people and community. Amen.
We'd like to say thank you to our elder May for giving us a good prayer. So Bert, why don't you start off by telling us about ICF?
Well, ICF was established back in 1978 as Indian Métis Christian Fellowship. The Council adopted the current name Indigenous Christian Fellowship in 2018. But for more than 40 years, the ministry has served passionately the spiritual and social needs of Indigenous people. Daily morning activities include prayer ceremonies, hospitality of coffee and tea, pastries, a bowl of porridge, oatmeal or cream of wheat. Every Wednesday at noon, we have a soup and bannock meal. And each Saturday morning, we have a family breakfast, providing food and fellowship. Supporting families through wakes and funerals has helped the community to see this ministry is a safe and sacred space. Dawn, can you tell us about tonight's program then?
Sure. We are so pleased you have decided to join us tonight for our third annual fundraising gala. Tonight, we hope to give you a glimpse into a few things. Who and what Indigenous Christian Fellowship is. We hope to encourage conversation about truth and reconciliation. What do these terms mean? When we talk about relationships in our nation between Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people. We want to share how ICF has been actively working towards reconciliation in our communities and nation, and inspire you maybe to get involved either with us or in your communities and circles. We are here to raise support. Finances are an important aspect of any organization, and without our financial supporters and funders, many of whom are listening to us right now, we would not be able to offer care and love in tangible ways to people in our community. We want you to sit back and enjoy tonight. We have some music, some testimonies, some teaching and encouragement about reconciliation. So first, I want to talk to you about a prize that we will be drawing. I'm just gonna grab it here. For every $50 donation that you make to ICF before November 13th, your name will be entered into a draw for an original framed birch bark painting by Ovid Bighetti called Flight. The pictures of this do not do it justice. This piece is beautiful. So to get your name entered, get your donation in. And yes, if you donate $100, you get 2 entries into the draw. And if you donate $150, you get 3 entries, and so on. So one final question to answer is, why should I donate to ICF? And it's a valid question. We hope you will decide to partner with us in the community work that happens every day at the ministry. It is all built on a foundation of love for Christ and then love for each other. That is the motivator as we find ways to build opportunities to talk and share and eat and just do life together. We believe that Jesus Christ made reconciliation with Creator a reality for humanity. And with his example, we believe reconciliation can be a reality for Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. So Bert, why don't you tell us a little bit about what all the money that will be donated will be used for?
Well, it'd be too easy to say, go ask the bookkeeper. So I'll tell you about the important things we spend money on. We have staff. Staff are an essential part of any agency. And we have dedicated staff, but they like to have their salary paid, and we do it promptly because of the financial support we get. And as a ministry working with people in the community, we made a commitment through our council to say, we're not going to pay the minimum wage. We'll keep abreast of the living wage for the community of Regina, and we make sure that's the starting wage for each and every employee at the ministry. And of course, the ministry don't come here and just look beautiful. They have supplies. They share with the communities, whether you're making soup and bannock, or you're making breakfast, you're serving coffee, pastries, all of those things cost money. And I have to admit that during the last year and a half, because of COVID-19, a lot of our activities have been through the back door. Just coffee cup after coffee cup, bowl after bowl, cutlery, all the disposable stuff. We buy the more expensive stuff because we tried to stay away from styrofoam and plastic, but because we're serving the Creator and we want to take care of creation. And we're in these beautiful facilities. Our facilities, require lights and water and power. Donations help to pay for all those costs. And then we also have special events that we engage in, whether we're taking a group out to see a video somewhere, or a movie, that takes money too. So, Dawn, can you tell us more about some of the fundraising purposes, how people can buy art,
Sure.
get tickets,
Sure.
make a donation?
Sure. So we ask you to look underneath, underneath your screen on YouTube for more details about how to make your donation and how to purchase art. The art will be auctioned by the Saskatchewan Network for Art Collecting, www.sknac.ca. Please note that the auction has been deferred for 1 week. It opens on October 28th and it closes on November 10th.
So, the truth of the matter is that we don't control everything. So we are happy that we can trust the Creator to make everything work out well. And we're also very pleased that, we do things in goodwill. We open with a prayer by May Denemy. We're also pleased that Jeff Capel will be with us this evening. He is a member of the Muscopeton First Nation. He has a drum group called Lone Creek that he does a lot of work with. He's well known in southern Saskatchewan in community and cultural events. He's been an MC at the powwow for First Nations University. And so tonight he's going to share with us a song, an honor song on his hand drum. Thank you, Jeff, for being with us tonight. It was wonderful. So certainly the purpose of our gala is fundraising for ICF. We need and appreciate your donations. The theme of our gala this year is Working for Reconciliation. And our theme resonates with the work of the National Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Many of you may know it simply as the TRC. The TRC's mandate was to build healthy relationships among former residential school survivors, their families, communities, and all Canadians. The Commission spent 6 years traveling throughout our nation and heard from more than 6,500 witnesses to their residential school experiences. The Commission was called to value and affirm the experiences of survivors and to bring awareness of this dark chapter in Canadian history to all Canadians, coast to coast.
We encourage people to increase their awareness of the calls to action. They are available online for review, so if you do a search, you'll be able to find them. We have taken them to heart at ICF, and we are always working towards reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, as well as reconciliation between humanity and the Creator. So now it's time. We are going to introduce our first special guest speaker. And as the Gala Planning Committee discussed our theme for tonight, working towards reconciliation, we wondered and discussed who would or could be effective in bringing important messaging to our friends and supporters. Our honored guest's name came up, and we knew we wanted to invite him to participate. Chief Cadmus Delorme is Cree and Saulteaux and is serving his second term as Chief of Cowessess First Nation. You may be aware that this past summer, Cowessess First Nation was found to have 751 unmarked graves located close to the former Maryville Indian Residential School site on Cowessess First Nation. We are so honored that Chief Cadmus agreed to share his wisdom and ideas with us tonight. Please join me as we receive Chief Cadmus's insights about truth, reconciliation, and the future.
I want to thank the Indigenous Christian Fellowship for giving me this opportunity to share a few words. As the chief of the Cowes First Nation, the last 4 months has been a trying time for many. The unmarked grave story has triggered and opened up conversations in this country that we have never had before. One of the things about the unmarked grave story, it is validation. Validation to many survivors, many friends and family of survivors of residential schools across this country, that what they have been living and saying for decades is true. For many Canadians, proud Canadians, the last 4 months, I have learned that many have now put down their shield and are admitting that they don't know much about the true history of Indigenous people and Canada. One of the things about the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action is that truth must come first, then reconciliation will prevail. One of the impacts residential schools did to Indigenous families is what we call today intergenerational trauma. What is intergenerational trauma? This is how I like to explain it. In families, you have vertical lineage, grandma to mom to daughter to granddaughter. What happened in residential school is grandma, instead of learning from her mom, went into horizontal survival mode, where she survived with sister and cousin. And then mom went into horizontal survival mode. So they did not get that vertical lineage values. And then daughter did. Now today there's no more residential schools, but granddaughter is walking this land today, where vertical lineage is getting stronger again, but we must invest in our Indigenous families in this country to make sure that grandma, mom, and daughter have the support. And a lot of them have persevered and have found resilience and moved on. But every Indigenous family is healing at its own pace. And that's why we must have patience. We must invest. Indigenous people don't want pity. We want understanding and let the truth prevail. That is why the Truth and Reconciliation is all of our actions together. The Truth and Reconciliation calls to action. There's 94 calls to action. Who is responsible to implement these 94 calls to action? All Canadians are. If you are a proud Canadian, if you share this land and you have kids and grandkids, nephews and nieces, you don't take the Truth and Reconciliation just to please the few Indigenous people in your environment or something like that. You do it for yourself and for the fact that this is one of the greatest countries in the world, and you will implement it too. The authors of the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action are the over 100,000 residential school survivors who told their story, 2 of them being my mother and my father. So my contribution is that I will make sure that the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action are implemented. And it's not going to take 1 year, it's going to take years. But let's not drag our feet. Take 2 or 3 this year, implement them into your personal lives, your social lives, your business lives, your political lives. And I guarantee you, in 1 generation, all of the intergenerational trauma will transition to intergenerational transfer, because that's what we're looking for. And we ultimately will share this land together and be one of the greatest countries we can be in the world. One of the things today that I find is that there is accidental racism. There is ignorance out there. I don't blame people personally unless they get a little worse. But the thing is we all must address the truth. There is only one truth out there, and you're going to come across people who are going to bring up that ignorance. Get over it. Attitudes like that. It didn't happen. Accidental racism. We must make sure that we are the true leaders, as Indigenous philosophies taught us, to be calm, cool, collective, and stern, to educate and educate. And once that truth gets across, if people still don't accept the truth, then that's their issue. But don't make it your issue, but don't allow the accidental racism or ignorance to continue, because there is one truth and we must make sure that it prevails. As Canadians, we inherited this situation. By what I mean by that is that, yeah, we didn't create residential schools. We didn't create the Indian Act. We didn't create 60 Scoop, but we inherited the aftermath, and that is why it's our responsibility. ICF is a place that is open. If you want to invest, invest, because they are frontline. If you want to learn more, then go there. If you want to donate your time or donate items, then contact them. They are our front line when it comes to healing and helping others.
Thank you, Chief Cadmus, for encouraging people to support ICF. We hope that your endorsement will motivate people to support this frontline ministry. ICF has always had a goal of having strong collaboration of Indigenous and non-Indigenous people working together. This goal is worked into the day-to-day events and activities, as well as some of the longer-term projects we have embarked on. Again, I want to remind you to please note the text at the bottom of the screen for more details about how to make your donation and how to purchase art. The art will be auctioned again by Saskatchewan Network for art collecting. And the auction will open October 28th and close November 10th. So Bert, can you tell us a little bit and tell our supporters a little bit about what the connection is between art and ICF?
Well, the truth of the matter is that I talk a lot, or I can talk for a long time about my relationship with Ovid Biggity, but it is such a good example of our theme, working for reconciliation. I met Ovid back in 1994, and we were in a two-story house a few blocks from here. My assistant came up to my office and said, "Hey, there's a guy downstairs, he needs help with a resume or something." The guy was Ovid, and he wanted help with an application to be approved to do art with a local school population. The students could do work. It worked. Then over time, Ovid was commissioned for various projects that got bigger and bigger over time. It was wonderful. In 2000, Ovid created the mural that makes up the street front wall, a memorable site in north central Regina. Subsequently, we commissioned Ovid 4 more times. The first series was called Git Shivanato Pakdansuan, the Creator's Sacrifice. It's currently on exhibit at Living Spirit Center. But a special note about that series of artwork was that in 2011, it started on a tour across Canada. And we didn't know what was happening, but it went for 4 years. It came back to Regina in 2015. The second series was called Steps Along the Red Road, Following Christ the Creator, 12 images. It's at Luther College, University of Regina. The third series is just down the street here at Christ Lutheran Church on Dooney Avenue, and it is called Git Shimanato Omi Kuisuan, the Creator's Gift. And the fourth series is called Prayers for the Creator's Children, 11 pieces that are exhibited at Our Savior's Lutheran Church here in Regina. So the interesting thing, of course, is that art commissioned by this little ministry has built bridges between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people across Canada as people have come together to look at the good creative stuff that Ovid did. And I'm so pleased that it's still here. So how about you talk about our other guest, Gail?
Sure. Thank you for all that great information, Bert. I am pleased to introduce Gail Fry to our supporters and followers tonight. Gail and her husband Larry have become strong supporters of ICF as part of their retirement plans a few years ago. Gail and Larry have contributed in so many ways to ICF. They participated in gala planning in recent years. They've coordinated our food ministry and distribution, and they've organized volunteers on a weekly basis. We are thankful for their vision and contributions. And tonight, Gail is going to tell you about our exciting art auction. So take it away, Gail.
Hi, I'm Gail Fry, a volunteer with Indigenous Christian Fellowship. As part of the gala tonight, I am pleased to present some of the artwork that we will auction through Saskatchewan Network for art collecting. Money raised through the art auction will help ICF respond to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to action. I'm going to show you the artwork of 10 different Indigenous artists. These works all have either been purchased by ICF or have been commissioned or donated to ICF. Go to www.sknac.ca if you are interested in purchasing any of the art to help support ICF. Once you're at the website, just click on October Art Sale or the Art Auction Now, and it will take you right to the website. When you get to the website, there's a little search item. Type in the words Indigenous Christian Fellowship, and you will see all the art that is represented by ICF. All the art is in excellent condition. Our first artwork is a limited edition silk screen print, number 97 out of 300 by Richard Bedwash. It is titled Roman numeral 4, Our Ways. It is an unframed print, 12.5 by 19 inches. An art appraisal is also included. Next, we have two very interesting acrylic unframed paintings by Jeffrey Blue Sky Crow. Jeffrey is from Yellow Quill First Nation in Saskatchewan and has been painting since 1986. Jeffrey has painted murals on displays in several buildings in Saskatoon. Many of his pieces are in corporate collections throughout Canada and in Saskatchewan's Crown corporations. In this first acrylic titled Learning to Walk Against the Wind, one can see in this 15 by 11 inch painting the bold image of a bison struggling against the wind. Jeffrey has said that over the years of painting, he has experimented with different styles of art. The traditional native images are a part of his cultural heritage that he portrays as spiritual arts. The second acrylic, titled Hope, is another amazing work by this artist. This 11 by 15 inch painting depicts the spiritual image of a flower blossoming with hope. Next, we have Cliff E. Dubois of the Pasqua First Nation. He is also known for the mural Spiritual Journey that he created in 2015 in the Education Building on the University of Regina campus. This 2004 painting is titled Soulmates, a 15 by 11 inch acrylic on paper. Just another beautiful piece of art being auctioned through SKNAC to help support Indigenous Christian Fellowship.
Thank you, Gail, for encouraging our viewers to go to the Saskatchewan Network for Art Collecting to view and purchase art to support ICF. So Bert, what can you tell us about volunteers at ICF?
Well, Gail is one of them, but Gail is an excellent example of a volunteer. Volunteers are really the heart, hands, and feet of ICF. They are our frontline workers. When you come to ICF, you will probably be greeted and served by a volunteer. Without volunteers, ICF would be and do a lot less. Through participating in the ministry services, volunteers bless the community and in turn are blessed by their relationship with ICF. Let's hear from Marie Crow, an ICF volunteer, as she tells her story in a brief video clip.
I come here because I was dealing with some personal issues, and ICF was a way for me to rehabilitate myself and for me to get back out into the workforce, hopefully get back into the workforce. It's given me a place of purpose. It's given me some new skills, cooking skills that I didn't have before. Given me people skills. I serve soup, coffee, breakfast to people in the morning. It's a different perspective. It gives you a perspective in the morning. There's other people in this world that are less fortunate than you are, and being able to serve the needy really puts that into perspective. It's ICF has given me a place to be thankful. It's given me a place to grow and to develop, and I met some new friends. I met new people. I got involved in the community, one of which I would never have done on my own. I actually suffer from anxiety disorder. Going out into the public, meeting new people is actually really hard for me to do. So being here, this actually gave me a place to redevelop those skills and to be able to come out of my shell. I recently just lost my car. It got repossessed because I don't have the money to keep paying for it. And I came to ICF just really kind of, sad, depressed. How was I going to get around in this city? And somebody came along and they offered me a bike. $200-$300 bike that I didn't have to pay back. It was just given to me, and it meant a lot to me. It meant that I had a means to be able to go look for work. It meant that I have means to be able, I wouldn't be so trapped inside my house. It means I have a means to come here. It meant the world to be able to receive that bike. It's good. It makes you feel good. You're helping other people that are less fortunate than you. You go home, you feel wonderful, and it's, a wonderful place to meet people, wonderful place to get to know people, the community. And yeah, I really enjoy it.
We ask that you bless this food, guard health and strength and health of each person that we share it with. Be with the drivers, they may deliver the food safely. We ask again for a blessing on this world to struggle with the COVID pandemic. We ask that you bring an end to the pandemic as soon as possible. Hear us, Creator, for we ask all these things by the power of your Spirit. In Christ's name, make which, and amen.
Amen. People have asked me why do I volunteer and why I come here a lot. And the only answer that I can give to them is, well, in the Bible it says that we're supposed to reach people. We're supposed to, the mandate is to, reach people for the gospel. And being at Indigenous Christian Fellowship, I'm able to do that. I'm able to see the love of Christ come out through the doors, whether it be through a cup of soup, whether it be through a bowl of oatmeal. Tiffany, for an example, comes up with all kinds of ideas. So does Bert, and so does Dave. It's kind of interesting to see the birthplace of all these ideas come to fruit, and to be able to see, the people in this community be able to get the help that they need at a time that's, it's hard finding help right now, especially with the pandemic going on, and this place stays open. With everything shutting down, this place stays open. So it's like a light in the middle of a very dark time. I'm First Nations. I'm from Piapot First Nations, and there isn't a lot that I know about my own culture. And one of the girls had taught me how to smudge with sage, and she sat there and she was like, "Yeah, you put the smoke over top of your head, towards your heart, and then towards your feet." And it's kind of neat when you get little ones that teach you things that you don't know. I've seen people that'll come to the door with no shoes, no socks. They're walking around in barefoot. And I can hand them a pair of socks. I can give them some shoes on top of the soup and top of the hygiene packs that we do. And, and after I do that, I thank God. I'm not at that position yet, thank God. And it's because of places like this. It's because of this place that I'm not there. It's because of this place. They look after me. They give me a place to go. They fed me. They've given me clothing. They've given me furniture. They helped me with so much. I'm in a place where I can give back now, and that's what I want to do. I'm giving back now. So I'm giving back to the organization that gave to me.
Welcome back to the Indigenous Art Auction through SKNAC. Please go to sknac.ca. That is the website to bid on these amazing works of art. We have up next an untitled acrylic painting by well-known Saskatchewan Indigenous artist Sanford Fisher. Sanford Fisher was born on the George Gordon First Nation near Punashai in 1927. Fisher, who was also self-taught, often painted scenes from his early life on the reserve and the prairie landscape. This 29 by 23 inch framed painting is one of Fisher's earlier works. I need to mention that Fisher is known to be among the most distinguished Cree painters of his generation. What makes this achievement even more remarkable is that shortly after establishing his career as an artist, Fisher had his painting arm amputated as a result of a train accident in 1972. I read that to provide for his family while still recovering in hospital, he began painting with his other arm and soon was able to achieve the same popular realist style of his previous work. Sam Fisher passed away in Regina in 1988. Next, we feature two paintings by upcoming Saskatchewan Indigenous artist Charles Hudson. These two paintings use bold colors and imagery. The first one, titled Friendship, painted in 2017, is an 11 by 14 inch acrylic on paper. I just love the symbolism of the turtles and their friendship. The second painting, also painted in 2017, depicts three bison and the sun. It is a larger work, being 22 by 14 inches. I am pleased to present our next painting from female Indigenous artist Simone McLeod. Simone is a Cree Ojibwe artist, a painter and a poet, born in Winnipeg, Manitoba in 1962. She is a member of the James Smith Cree First Nation near Melfort, Saskatchewan. Simone is quoted as saying, "Each painting contains a piece of my soul. I have a strong faith in humankind, and my paintings are silent prayers of hope for the future." Simone McLeod's work is featured in collections around the world, as well as in private, corporate, and public collections throughout Canada. This 2004 acrylic painting titled Strength Together is an unframed 11 by 14.75 inch work.
Thank you so much, Gail and Marie. Marie, your story is an excellent example to our viewers about the blessings made possible by donations to ICF. And Gail, we are confident that your presentations will help viewers to get or go to the website of the Saskatchewan Network for Art Collecting to purchase art to support ICF. Remember, that website is www.sknac.ca. So I'm honored now to introduce our next guest. Her name is Beatrice Wallace-Wolf. Beatrice has been a recipient of ICF services and support in the past. Later, she was a staff member, and she remains an ambassador for the ministry. Beatrice shares her journey both in her work as an advocate for those experiencing being sex trafficked, as well as in her life story that she has written, Wolf Woman. She is a mom and a cookum, and she's from Muskowgan First Nation. She calls Regina her home. I've also been pleased to know Beatrice since we were little girls in Sunday school together. So I'm humbled to have her share with us some experiences and stories, both about ICF and the power of reconciliation.
I wrote a book. It's called Wolf Woman, A Search for Identity, and it's a memoir of my life. And the reason why I wrote it, and God has put it on my heart when I was a little kid, that I knew I was going to write a book. Ever since I was young, because I used to write when I was young. That's the way I escaped from the world, from the abuse. I would write poems and stories. God put it on my heart, write a story, because there's a lot of people out there that are lost. That if they read your story, they will relate to something, and they will see that there's a other side. There's a good side, right? And also that there's church people that don't understand, because it's a lot of times it's like, I don't understand why they're the way they are. Well, this is why. There's a story behind their addiction. It's not just they're an addict on the street. There's a story. They didn't come there for no reason. I feel God has really used my book. The process of writing it was not easy at all, because it was 2 years of triggers, because I was reliving my whole life in 2 years. It is a hard read. It's the reality. It's my truth. If I can help save a life using my book, that that Jesus, our Creator, asked me to write, I'm honoring, my work here on earth. I offer my book where I work now, and I work in a women's addiction program. But I do know that the ladies in my home that have read it have been like, they can relate to me. They will talk to me at a level that they wouldn't talk to someone else that that says, oh, I understand. You know what I mean? Because they see she's gone through a lot of the same things that I've gone through, different settings. So growing up, I'm a part of the 60 Scoop. So growing up, I was taught about Jesus. But I was also taught that Jesus was a very cruel God that punishes Indigenous people. So I was taught to believe that I, as an Indigenous person, was going to burn in hell when I died. So why would I ever want to love a God like that, So I don't think I can say I hated God, but I hated the fact that there was a God that would do that to a person. So growing up, I fought with Christianity. I rebelled against it, and then when I went through my addiction and I came to a place where I was done with that life, done with the drugs, done with the fighting, done with just all of that negativity, I cried out to God, and in my head, God was Jesus, because that's the only God I knew. So, and when I started cleaning up, I started going to church, because that's the only God I knew. I didn't know no other God. And I gave my heart back to Jesus, and I started walking that way. But there's a hole somewhere. There's emptiness, because I started working in the community, and I seen so many lost Indigenous people, and I was like, why is this? I started to learn about myself, as an Indigenous person. So I started praying to God. I was like, I want to learn about my Indigenous traditions. I want to be respectful of you. And so for 2 years I prayed. People are learning. The church has changed, not all, but the church is changing, I should say, to be more understanding of Indigenous people and their sufferings and their trauma. We still have the louds, get over it, but it's how we take it. I don't sit there and argue with get over it. I work with the ones that are like, what can I do? What can I do? And like I said, we have to reach people at where they're at. We can't have an expectation for them to be here with us. When I say us, I mean however that person is, where that person is. An Indigenous person will never be a white Christian. And that's one thing that we have to get out of our heads as a church. And that was, for a long time, that was what was being taught. When you come to church, you give up everything else and you become a white Christian, or whatever nationality of church that is. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I haven't a clue how it's going to look, but I know for myself, I'm going to keep moving forward in a positive way. And yeah. So I've been learning about my culture. And that's one thing I loved. And it seemed like at that same time, in that time, that's when I started working here, which is Christian, Indigenous, and I was being taught smudging and, just the respect of Mother Earth and all the teachings, So right now, I am extremely proud to say that, you know, I love who I am as a Christian and as a Indigenous woman, and that's what I want for others too, you know. And I see that being offered here, you know, that it's like a first step, you know, in learning that. Because growing up, I was taught that Indigenous spirituality was evil, and people that practiced it are evil. Even when I came back to the church, I was told not to go to powwows because who are they singing and dancing to? Because I wanted my kids to experience that. And so, and this is 20 years ago, less than 20 years ago, so it's very recent that was being taught. So even coming back, but I still had that like push. I was like, no, that can't be. Not a whole like Indigenous people, not like all of them are in hell that, you know, dance and powwows. Like, there's no way. That's not how our God is. And so I think when it came to that point, for real, when I was standing there, and that lady in this church prayed that to me, that was God saying, yes, you know, I'm coming here and I'm letting you know right here in this church where, you know, they would tell you that going to powwows are wrong, right? They would tell you, and this was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. So, and that was when I realized, you know, that it's Creator who I'm listening to. It's not humans. Like, humans can tell me what they think, but I'll always take it back to Creator. I will have discussions with humans. Me and Bert had a lot of good discussions, you know, because I love to listen to, like, to me, Bert is a knowledge keeper, right? And so I love to listen to people who have, like, walked the walk, which Bert does, right? And, you know, and it's evident that Bert has a heart for people. And if we see how many Indigenous people walk through here, and it's not only Indigenous people, right? I'm not saying that, but we have a lot of lost Indigenous people that are on the streets, that are in jails, you know, that, you know, are living a hard life, that, yeah. First step is obviously to look at what the calls of action is and see where it could apply in your life, in the person's life, you know, but also to sit and listen to Indigenous people who have suffered at the hands of the residential school and who are angry at the church, and, you know, that have been a part of the 60s scoop, you know, that are lost on the streets still. Like, they have voices, and a lot of them aren't being heard. But when we sit down and we listen to people, sometimes that's all they need, is just for us to listen and be empathetic. You know, when we go into a place, or, you know, one of my things I have a hard time with is when I'll be in a group of church people, and being one of the only Indigenous people still, that happens a lot. One of the things that I struggle with is when people say, I have a heart for Indigenous people. Because the reality is, you should have a heart for everyone. It shouldn't be just, you know, there's Indigenous people that are lost, but that doesn't mean there's also other nationalities that are out there too. Instead of pinpointing that it's only Indigenous people, you have a heart for God's people, you know, and that's the way I look at it. Sit down and just listen to them, and don't get defensive, you know, because when people are still in their anger, they're going to be angry, and they might direct the wording to you, but it's not you. They still direct the wording to the church now, but it was the church before that did this. But the church now has to help take responsibility for what happened in their church. An apology is an apology, and it feels nice to get an apology, but actions have to come after the apology. So it can be as easy as volunteering at ICF, contributing financially if that's your means, but putting your mouth, we use our mouth, but actions are a lot louder than our words, and there's many ways, serving coffee, smiling at people. Like, a lot of people on the streets, they don't get smiles even. Like, have a good day. You know how much that brightens a person's day, just hearing that. And it's just showing God's love, and that's how Jesus told us to act like him, to teach like him, right? And yeah. ICF plays a very good role in the community as being a first stop. People do need a place where they can come and have a coffee, have something to eat, have a place where they can come for morning devotions. Like, that's extremely important for people to start their day in a good way. People have to have a beginning to where to change, and this is like a beginning, this is like a first stop. Having resources, this is where you can go for your next meal, where you can go for counseling or whatever. There has to be a first stop, and it's very important. We can't expect people to just one day get up and say, oh, I'm changed, now I'm gonna go get a job. It doesn't work like that. There's steps in changing. So definitely, I will forever be grateful for Bert, Yeah. To start crying.
Yeah, ICF.
Yeah. Okay.
A piece of art from Jay Morrison is next. His acrylic 20 by 16 inch painting on canvas is titled Canada Indian Eagle, and it was painted in 2017. Our next paintings are very unique. Painted by Michael Smoke in 2018, these are reversible oil paintings on leather. One depicts a village of teepees, while the reverse side depicts a bald eagle against the background of forest and mountains. The leather, stretched and tied to wooden sticks, has dimensions of 24 by 17.5 inches. Next, we have an amazing framed oil on canvas painting by Mona Thrasher. Born in 1942, Mona lives in the Northwest Territories in Canada. She is known as an Inuit artist who at a young age was left partially deaf and mute due to a hunting accident. She is a self-taught artist with no formal training. Her paintings use the basic colors of white and blue because, as she is quoted, "That is the way my country appears to me. They represent the sky, water, snow, and ice." She is inspired from the different activities which are at the very heart of the Inuit way of life: women cutting fish, men driving dog teams, children playing in the snow. She hopes that through her art, people will get a better understanding of the North and its people. Thrasher has painted over 800 canvases, which have been sold throughout Canada and the USA. This framed oil painting, titled Fish Camp, was painted in 1970, and with its frame is 33.5 by 27 inches. Our last painting to share with you tonight is from Ron Ewan Wapamoose, a self-taught painter originally from Cowessess First Nation. In 1995, Wapamoose turned to art as a way to pull himself free from the downhill turn his life had taken. He believes creating art is an exercise in spirituality. He paints traditional First Nation culture, their traditions, values, and beliefs. This unframed acrylic painting titled Silent Night was painted in 2012. The canvas's dimensions are 15.5 by 19.5 inches. How fitting to show this last painting as we see the nativity scene in the smoke with the Christmas star high up in the sky. Although it's only October, we can start thinking of Christmas gifts. And what better way than to bid on one or more of the artworks presented this evening at the fundraising gala. Your purchase will help Indigenous Christian Fellowship with its many projects in their response to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action. Please check out sknac.ca website as posted here and search in the auction for the ICF artwork under the 3 words Indigenous Christian Fellowship. You will also find some other original paintings that are part of the ICF collection also in this website. Thanks so much for your support.
Thank you, Gail, for making it so clear to our viewers about how they can support ICF by purchasing art through the Saskatchewan Network for Art Collecting. I remind you that it's www.sknac.ca. But particularly, Beatrice, you humble me by your kind words. And I just want to let everyone know that if you want to get a copy of Wolf Woman, Beatrice's book, contact the ministry. I will have a few copies here. But I want to remind everyone that your donations and support for ICF help the ministry to help other people. Beatrice is not the only person. There are a lot of other people who are caught up in difficult and threatening circumstances. Mm-hmm. So now it's really important that we continue to acknowledge the spiritual core of this ministry. And I was so glad that a couple years ago I said to Dawn, I'm looking for some Christian Indigenous Council members. And she said, well, what about me? And I said, what about you? So tell us, Dawn, some of your story.
Sure. Thanks, Bert. I'm really humbled to take a moment to recognize who it is that has made all of ICF's efforts, ministries, and programs possible. Without him, we're just people working because we have the tiniest bit of kindness or compassion towards our fellow humans. No, it is because of him that we are here, with inspiration, motivation to keep going for more. He is Jesus Christ. His intention was and is for us to love one another deeply. And this love for one another grows as we grow in our love for Creator, Father God. Jesus came and made a clear way to the Creator for all. He gave his life so that we can live, and so that all those things in life that hold us back, whether it's pain, unforgiveness, loss, bitterness, or even hate, these things don't have to stand between Creator's heart and our hearts. Jesus came and then he died, but he did not stay in that grave. He rose up and he lives today. Jesus calls your name because he knows you. He values you because you are one of Creator's most special creations. ICF is truly here to guide you to him first. Only Jesus can heal hearts, lives, and pain. Jesus is the author of reconciliation. He has shown us the way, and we can choose to follow his way. If you want to know more about this Jesus, ask him right now to come and make himself known to you. I can tell you confidently, he will. We at ICF are here. If you want to talk more about who Jesus was and is, please reach out to us. Come to the ministry. Send us a message on social media, or come to one of our prayer meetings or ceremonies. We'd love to talk or pray with you as you explore inviting Jesus into your life.
So thanks, Dawn. It's time to start wrapping things up. I begin by thanking all of you who watched our program tonight. You are our supporters, you are our friends, and from time to time I brag, I boast. I said, we're blessed here with prayers across Canada, coast to coast. People pray for this ministry. I'm very, very grateful for that. But we've had some special guests tonight. I want to, of course, thank Elder May Denemy. I want to thank Chief Cadmus Delorme. I want to thank Beatrice Wallace and Marie Crow. I want to thank our musicians, Jeff Capel, whose honor song helped to start our gala this evening. And we haven't seen him yet, but Jerry Shepard, his honor song will help close out the gala. Thank you, Jerry. We also had some recorded music from Don Amero, Indigenous musician from Winnipeg, or Manitoba, and Broken Walls, Jonathan Miracle and Company from Southern Ontario, Tyandiga Territory. Thank you all very much. Some of you may have had a card in the mail. That card was prepared by Bob Anderson of Concept Media. And if you had a chance to admire some of the art reproductions of the artwork that is for sale, that was commissioned by the ministry, done by Obed Biggity, if you want a reproduction, we will get it through Bob Anderson for you to enjoy. But Robin Schlatt of Saskatchewan Network for Art Collecting, he's making that art auction possible beginning on the 28th through the 10th, I believe, of November. Go to that website, www.sknac.ca. And I've had the pleasure this past year of working with Don, our Gala Committee, Gail Fry, Larry Fry, Peter Braun, and Peter Nokanichi. So thank you very much, Gala Committee members. Technical help, Don List of Birdsong Communications, Gavin McLean, and Wilfred Dieter behind the camera. So thank you for helping us make this virtual gala for 2021, hopefully a very successful event. Thank you all. Please remember to support us with your donations, purchasing artwork, and always keep praying for us. We covet those prayers day after day because they help to sustain our hope for tomorrow and the days to come so that we can be a blessing to each other and a blessing to the generations yet to come. Thank you, and Megwitch. May the Creator bless each one of you tonight. Amen.